My name is Carina and welcome to the Carina Chronicles. In this video we are going to do my own Zodiac Sign Book Tag and we're doing it for the Zodiac sign Scorpio this month. And I'm having some pretty interesting books to recommend to you, so let's quickly start with that. If you don't know yet, I am doing my own book tag, which is the Zodiac Sign Book Tag, and I have been doing that since the beginning of the Zodiac Sign Circle, which was in March. So we're already like 3/4 into the year and almost done with this tag for like the whole year. But there are still some Zodiac signs to come and I'm really enthusiastic to tell you all about the books that I came up with. I am having some book prompts. They are all related to the Zodiac sign. I don't really per se believe in that they really fit the Zodiac sign. But the internet does, and a lot of people believe in this, which is a fun thing to do, I think. So I am showing some books that I think really fit this Zodiac sign in some way. And we're doing that for Scorpio today. And I'm having some real classics in here, so that is really nice, I think. Let's start with it. I can't wait. So the first prompt is always to show you a book that the Zodiac sign is reminding me of, so either by title or by cover or something. And the Zodiac sign is Scorpio, and that was quite difficult for me because I had nothing like Scorpio on the cover, nothing in the title. Now I'm saying it, I'm like, isn't there like a character called Scorpio in Harry Potter or something? Never mind. The book that I came up with is actually The Last Name Sarah by Kristen Ciccarelli, because, hear me out, the cover has something stingy but beautiful, which I think, well, it's dangerous, it stings, it's beautiful, just as a Scorpio. So I thought I could recommend you this book. The cover says it's really pretty, but it's also a really pretty book with a lot of dragons in here. And I think that already is enough for a lot of people to read this. I really liked it. I can't wait to start the sequel of this. I think it's a trilogy, or is it a duology? I think it's a trilogy. And I don't really remember anymore what it is about, except for that you have this girl and she can be used as a weapon because she can use dragons as one of the last people. She's like an Sarah, and it is interesting. It is very much YA, but a good YA fantasy, so I would highly recommend this. Then the second prompt is always to show you a book that has a character that has the same character traits as a Scorpio. At least the internet says so. And the traits of a Scorpio person are self-reliant, powerful and dominant. And I think a character that really fits that is Zaya from The Gifgave by Rani de Valler. In November I will get the sequel and conclusion to this duology as a review copy. I'm really excited about it. But I think Zaya perfectly fits this prompt because although she is not completely self-reliant because she is actually abducted, so she cannot really rely on herself, she really makes up her own mind. There is not like, she's very morally grey because she doesn't per se listen to people like what is good and what is bad. She tries to find her own way in that. And she's very powerful because she's a very powerful magician. She can do both kinds of magics that are in this novel. And although a lot of people think she can't handle it and she will die, she only gets out stronger, obviously. And dominant, I would say as well, because I don't really like her because she's so dominant over other people. So I thought this was like a perfect character for this. The novel is about using magic and there are two kinds. One is prohibited and the other one is not. And people that are using the wrong kind of magic are forced to use the other one and usually die while doing it. That sounds dark. It is dark. I'm very interested in the conclusion of this. So the next book I want to recommend is by an author that is actually Scorpio themselves. There were a lot of authors, really cool ones like Margaret Atwood, Neil Gaiman. All kind of authors are Scorpios actually, but the one that I chose to show you is one by Robert Louis Stevenson, who is also a Scorpio, at least history says so. And that is The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And I own this beautiful copy with beautiful illustrations and like this. So I could not show you this. This is a story about two men, I would say. One suddenly appears and then the other always disappears. And the one is very kind and the other one is very not kind. And more you should not know. It's very short, you should read it for yourself. I really liked it. And he is a Scorpio. So that's cool, right? The next one is to recommend you a book by the color of a Scorpio zodiac sign. And the color is black, which, wow, great color. I own a lot of black books, so I really didn't know which one to actually recommend to you. But I chose a random one, which is Truth or Dance by Chinook Thijssen. This is a Dutch YA thriller taking place at a ballet school. And people, like children on this school, get kind of assessments they need to do, but they slowly figure out that these assessments are more dangerous than they expected and they are not really normal to have at a ballet school. So it's really, really exciting and it ends with a big cliffhanger. So I need to continue this trilogy. I know that I need to do this because I'm so curious to see what comes next. So the next one is to recommend a book to you with the gemstone of the zodiac sign. This is always the most difficult prompt that I have. But the gemstone for Scorpio is topaz, and I knew that topaz has this very great like yellow color, but it is too deep to be just bright yellow. It's more like orangey yellow. And I only owned one book that I thought would really fit that color. And that is I'll Give You the Sun by Jenny Nelson. This book is about twins. And these twins, we follow them both from both perspectives, but we follow one part of the twin when they're 13 and the other part when they're 16. And in between their mother dies, which is of course very sad. And when they're 13, they're still quite close. And when they're 16, they're not anymore. And you try to figure out why that happened. And both twins are very creative. So the book is also very creative. Like they express themselves in a way of art. So really interesting story. She only wrote one other book and I really need to get to that one because I really love this one. So on to the next prompt. The next prompt is to recommend you a book of the element of the Scorpio zodiac sign. And the element is water. And a book that made me think of water in some way. I mean, it's always like, sometimes it's a stretch, but I don't really mind. It's The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. And that is because a lot of this takes place at sea. So it makes me think of water. Actually, the second part is called The Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy, which is taken place even more at sea, I guess so. I haven't read it yet. But this one is an historical fiction, a YA one, with a very annoying main character that you got to love and anyway, because he has such amazing friends and family. Well, not all family. And you should just really read it. It's kind of a like wholesome but still exciting historical fiction, which is nice. And a lot of representation in here. So I like that. I like those books. I'm very happy with it. The next book is a recommendation for the season of the Scorpio zodiac sign. It is autumn, if you haven't noticed. And there's only one book that I own that is like the most autumn kind of vibe I could get on a cover. And that is The Nature of Witches by Rachel Griffin. I mean, well, there's no discussion about this, right? It has also a very beautiful naked cover. And I know her new book, The Wild Witch, has also this great cover, so I should buy it. But I haven't done so yet. And that's partly because this one had a lot of potential but didn't completely fulfill it for me. It is about witches, obviously, and they have like, if they're in their right season, they are very powerful. But if it is then another season, then they're not so powerful anymore. And you have this one witch that we follow that is actually like a seasonal witch, which has all seasons in one. So she is powerful all the time. And she is asked to please save the world. But she is highly annoying, so she is not going to do that. At least at first. So, an ever witch. That's how they call it, yeah. An ever witch. So, Clara is her name. She's annoying. And she's part of the reason I didn't really like this book. But the potential is great. And the writing was also great. So, I can't wait to pick up the next book by Rachel Griffin to see if she actually got better in creating characters I like. Which is of course not a skill you need to have, but if you want to like entertain me, it helps. So the next book I want to recommend is always a little bit weird. I put on the screen a playlist that the Astro Poets wrote in their book for this zodiac sign. The Astro Poets are authors and they have a podcast, I guess. And they wrote a book where they talk a lot about zodiac signs. I didn't agree with anything they said. So it's weird that I'm quoting them all the time, but okay. At least they make a playlist for all the zodiac signs. And I always choose a song from the playlist that rings a bell and is like, oh, I know quite a book for that song. So I put it somewhere on the screen. The song that immediately spoke to me is Legendary Lovers by Katy Perry. Because if there are two legendary lovers, that must be Romeo and Juliet by Shakespeare. And I, again, own this beautiful world classic copy with beautiful illustrations. And I needed to show it to you. This story is maybe the most famous love story that ever existed. And therefore I highly recommend you to read it, because then you can see all the references that literally every other love story is doing. And that is great. And it is not, in my opinion, the greatest thing Shakespeare has written. It is not the greatest love story ever existing, but it's the first. The first love story that came to influence like everyone. So I would highly recommend you to read this. And then we go to the most fun part, in my opinion. I always recommend a book to you that one of my friends or family that are the Aquarian zodiac sign think that book to be the most amazing, the best book ever. And I already spoke with a person like last month and he decided on a book and I already bought the book even and I'm happy until I found out his birthday is on the 22nd of November and I thought on the 20th of November, which is shameful but also makes him another zodiac sign. So that is a problem. I will keep him for the next video and I needed to find someone else for this month. And I found actually my book friend Melissa to come up with a book for me. And her favorite book is The Lightning Thief, the first part in Percy Jackson's series by Rick Riordan. And am I happy it's on this list? Yes, definitely. Was I going to buy the whole book box anyway? Yes, I was. Am I going to now? No, because now I feel like I can buy a special edition of the first part because I need to have it now and I don't want to buy a box yet. So if you don't notice, this is a Greek mythology retelling about demigods for children. And it's incredible. And they're going to make a new Netflix series about it. So I needed to reread it anyway. But I'm really happy I can now. And Melissa, thank you so much. Because I can completely understand that this is your favorite book of all time. And I will definitely reread it. So that was great. And then the last thing is that I always recommend a book to you that is either science fiction or is taking place in space. And a book that I want to recommend to you is Amaran by Emily Arends, because this is actually, I would say science fiction. It is more dystopian, but there's so much science in here that I would call it science fiction. It is about some people are like created to donate their organs so that rich people can live their healthiest life and be the prettiest they want to be. That is kind of the story. And I think for the rest, I shouldn't spoil anything, but you should really read this. It is really nice, and I hope it will get an English version as well. This publisher tends to really attempt to get the rights sold to other countries, and I think this one would be a good contestant to actually have an English translation. So that was actually it for this video. I'm not going to tag anyone because everyone just wants to do this when it's their own zodiac sign, and I don't know everyone's birthday. So I'll just leave the playlist on the screen. You can find your own zodiac sign and know the right prompts for it. You can always ask me things. I'm fine with everything. Please leave down in the comments if you have any autumn recommendations or Scorpio related recommendations. What would you have said when I asked you to name the most Scorpio book? I mean, it's difficult, right? So I really hope you liked this video. If you did, please leave a like. And if you subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell, you will be notified whenever I post a new video. I hope you'll have a lovely day filled with books, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye! It was funny to name Jekyll and Hyde in this video as well, because we are doing a world premiere of a piece with my orchestra, and the piece is also about Jekyll and Hyde. It's called Jekyll and Hyde. So I'm really into that story at the moment.